It's time to take a look at what's happening around Wyoming for Wednesday, January 29th. I'm Wendy Corr, bringing you headlines from the Cowboy State Daily newsroom, brought to you by Visit Casper. Visit Casper invites you to come enjoy the Casper International Film Festival this weekend, January 31st through February 2nd. A broad range of films from local and international filmmakers will be shown. Learn more and get your tickets at visitcasper.com. A bill that would block Wyoming's government from compelling employees to use a coworker's preferred pronouns cleared its first committee vote with unanimous approval and now heads to the state Senate floor. If it becomes law, Senate File 77 would forbid the state and all of its subdivisions, such as towns, counties, and schools, from compelling or requiring government employees to call their coworkers by preferred pronouns. That's according to Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland.
On the one hand, Senator Crum was like, well, what if I'm calling a guy she to haze him all the time? Can the state not fire me for bullying him? So an attorney from Alliance Defending Freedom, which practices in this area a ton, said, no, this bill is just the right not to be compelled to say certain things. They cannot force your speech. There's still remedies for bullying, according to him.
The bill passed on a 5-0 vote. It must survive 3 readings in the state Senate and House of Representatives and the governor's desk to become law. Freedom Caucus members in the Wyoming House are leading an effort to stop political candidates from running for office in general elections by switching parties after losing primary races. On Tuesday, the House passed first reading of a bill that would move the date to file as an independent candidate in Wyoming to well before the primary. Cowboy State Daily's Leah Wolfson reports that this would eliminate the ability for people to run after losing primary elections.
The whole aim of this bill basically is to target people who were running their campaigns based off the results of primary elections that they didn't like. Currently, people can announce an independent campaign after the primary election for about 10 days. So this is kind of the latest step in a trend of hardline conservatives like Haraldson who do not like people making political registration decisions based off of candidates they do or don't like in elections.
The bill's sponsor, State Representative Jeremy Haraldson of Wheatland, said he's had county election staff complain to him about the 70-day rule, which gives the clerks a short window to print ballots for Wyoming residents voting from overseas. There's agreement across the board that the torture of a wolf in Daniel last year goes against everything Wyoming hunters stand for. House Bill 275 was written in response to that incident and is advancing through the Wyoming legislature. But Cowboy State Daily's Mark Hines reports that whether it should be legal to chase and run down wolves and other predators with vehicles remains a hotly debated point.
There are still a lot of people from a lot of different quarters and points of view in Wyoming who are saying that unless they put something in this bill that makes it illegal to run animals over with the vehicle, it's not going to have the intended effect. The committee didn't delve into that part of it, but they did forward the bill. But definitely, as this thing moves on into the House floor and then probably the Senate floor, look for that debate to continue.
The vote to forward House Bill 275 to the floor was unanimous. A Wyoming House committee advanced a proposal Tuesday to triple the state's contribution to the $182 million rebuild of the crumbling LEL Dam. The 115-year-old dam near Douglas is close to failing. Cowboy State Daily's Leah Wolfson reports that Democrat Representative Mike Yin of Jackson proposed increasing the state's contribution to the project to $90 million, saying he sees fixing the failing dam as a state-level emergency that transcends jurisdictions.
He's in Teton County, and he believes that this could have a statewide effect if something horrible would have happened with the dam where it broke. Senator Mike Garreau, who's the co-sponsor of the bill, another Democrat from Jackson, agrees, and he pointed out that a huge flood could wipe out some of the I-25 corridor in central Wyoming, and as a result, it would have a serious effect on the entire state.
The House Appropriations Committee on Tuesday unanimously passed the proposal. And now let's take a look at today's weather with Cowboy State Daily meteorologist Don Day.
Boy, yesterday was a delightful day across the state. Sunny skies, moderating temperatures, not much wind. We'll do it again today. Another nice day across the state and region. We'll see a little bit in the way of cloudiness reaching the far southern parts of the state, mainly the southeast corner tonight and tomorrow. There's a storm down in Colorado that could clip extreme southeastern Wyoming with clouds and maybe a couple of snow flurries on Thursday, but the rest of the state will be fair. Now on Friday, things start to change. You'll notice the wind picking up a bit. And then over the weekend, we're going to see snow move into western Wyoming. We'll talk more about this tomorrow, but a snowy forecast for the far western border areas of the state is likely for the weekend.
You can get Don's full forecast on the Cowboy State Daily website. I'll be back in just 20 seconds with more news.
When we say community is the heart of Hilltop, we're talking about a team of bankers committed to improving the place we call home. A team that shows up every day to help businesses thrive and gives back to our neighbors through time, attention, and service. We're inspired by the way our bankers give back because that's one of the many qualities that makes us truly a community bank. Hilltop Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The mysterious drones that befuddled New Jersey residents last fall have been identified by the Trump administration. Trump's press secretary on Tuesday said the drones were approved by the FAA and were a combination of research, hobbyists, and other aircraft. However, Cowboy State Daily's Claire McFarland reports that similar unidentified drones in Niobrara County, Wyoming, are still making appearances.
Trump's statement addressed the ones flying over New Jersey, like these are FAA approved, some's research, some are hobbyist, whatever. Still very vague from the government on high. But the sheriff of Niobrara County was like, well, we're still seeing grid pattern drone flights here repeatedly and still don't have answers for that. Sheriff Starkey said that he's meeting with a drone expert Wednesday for more answers about what could be going on, but right now he has no idea.
The Wyoming Office of Homeland Security has established a website to collect drone sighting tips as a resource to help people identify what they're seeing. Wyoming's farmers and ranchers face a host of challenges every year that threaten to drive them out of business. That's helped prompt many to also pursue alternative revenue streams, and among the most popular has been agritourism, activities such as pumpkin patches, corn mazes, and hay rides. But opening the doors to agritourism also opens the doors to significant liability if someone is hurt while at their operation. Cowboy State Daily's Renee Jean reports that the Wyoming legislature is considering a bill that would extend tourism liability coverage for these attractions.
Farms and ranches are not danger-free zones. In fact, OSHA lists farming and ranching as one of the most dangerous occupations in America. And so when you open the door to have tourists coming in who maybe don't know anything about how to act around cattle, or they don't know anything about big farm equipment, there are some inherent risks there. And so Wyoming does have a Recreation Safety Act extended to other tourism venues to kind of lift some of the liability off of them.
Senate File 108 unanimously passed the Senate Travel, Recreation, Wildlife, and Cultural Resources Committee Tuesday morning. Also on Tuesday, Governor Mark Gordon expressed grave concerns about the Joint Appropriations Committee of the Wyoming Legislature's recent move to reject his $130 million recovery request made in the supplemental budget for wildfire relief, and instead provide $100 million in loans for Wyoming residents. Cowboy State Daily's Leah Wolfson reports that Gordon believes Wyoming residents who had property damaged during the historic 2024 wildfire season should be eligible for immediate and permanent relief on behalf of the state.
That loan program will come with a 2% interest rate for all participants. The supporters of the loan program on the Appropriations Committee said that they do believe there should be a little bit of personal responsibility by landowners in this situation. And they also said they question whether Wyoming would even be constitutionally allowed to provide grants for this type of need.
Gordon did indicate he would be open to a split program with a portion of money going toward grants and another portion for loans. And are a cow's gassy emissions and burps equal to a bison's? Western Justice, a nonprofit that says it's dedicated to empowering the future of the Western lifestyle, claims that the 31.7 million beef and 9.4 million dairy cattle in the U.S. today are comparable to the millions of buffalo living in the West during the 1800s. But Cowboy State Daily's Andrew Rossi reports that the biology doesn't necessarily support their argument.
It's a complicated answer why cattle produce more methane than bison. Based on everything that I've compiled and the people I talked to, it boils down to Cattle tend to live longer and they get round-the-clock care, unlike bison. Bison populations can fluctuate. Diet has been proven to be a pretty big part of it, what the animals are eating. But then on top of that, for reasons I don't fully understand, while cattle just seem to emit methane, bison actually pull carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and into the ground in a way that cattle don't.
If cattle emissions are as urgent as many suggest, it's not one that Wyoming ranchers are being forced to confront. Jim Magagna, Executive Vice President of the Wyoming Stock Growers Association, said it's not a pressing issue in the Cowboy State. And that's today's news. Get your free digital subscription to Wyoming's only statewide newspaper by hitting the daily newsletter button on cowboystatedaily.com. And you can watch this newscast every day by clicking subscribe on our YouTube channel. And don't forget to drop in on the Cowboy State Daily Morning Show with Jake Nichols, Monday through Friday from 6 to 10 a.m. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Wendy Corr for Cowboy State Daily.